Thank you for the introduction. So I want to begin talking a little bit about what I study. I study election fraud, and I'm going to bring some of that knowledge to the issue at hand, this long-standing forum, this debate between Latkes and Hamantaschen. Now, you might ask, how does election fraud relate to Jewish things or to anything that's happening here tonight? But in fact, it does. So elections are about voting, voting is about choice, and Jewish thought emphasizes the fact that people have free choice. Well, whenever free choice is subverted, then there is great reason for concern. So tonight I hope to show you that there is indeed reason for concern. I hope that by the end of my presentation you will be concerned, hopefully about the substance of what I'm going to show to you, and not about my future as a debater. So I will structure my argument in 3 parts. I will be talking about the vote, about the agenda, and about the agenda setter. Let me begin with the first, the vote. So I started out by saying there was reason for concern, that free choice is subverted. So let me tell you why. Year after year, on the occasion of this Latke-Hamantash Debate, at the end of the evening there is a vote, as you will know. So each of you will be asked to adjudicate on one side or the other. I hope nobody has actually pierced their vote with a pen, following my illustrious debater's advice, because after what you will hear, you might want to change your mind. Okay, so this vote has a history. But before I discuss its history, I wish to introduce an issue that often arises in the study of voting behavior, and more generally in the study of public opinion. So one of the main ways in which social scientists study the way people feel is simply to ask them. So when we didn't have brain scans, we simply asked people, and we still ask them, we take a survey. So there is a problem with this. The problem is that the answers we get could be very misleading. For example, as is well known, close to 80% of people surveyed say they actually voted in the last US election. Well, in fact, it's only about 60% that voted. So what do we conclude from such figures? If nothing else, that about 20% of people say one thing but do another. Now, why might people do this? Many answers have been given, but the crux of the matter is that people misrepresent their preferences because people want to be left alone. People don't want a look of disapproval to the person administering the survey for having not voted, say I didn't vote or I did something wrong, so that's social desirability. They don't want to be lectured on why they should have voted, so people basically misrepresent. Now this is particularly grave in authoritarian systems, where people are expected to say absurd things in support of their leaders, and where leaders are paying, when you have a vote, like the one tonight, over 99% of the vote in elections, places like Syria or Iraq before the war. And this is not because people actually like their leaders, but rather people want to be left alone by the regime's police. So the issue in a nutshell is that when somebody's watching, people want to be left alone, people will hide their true preferences. How is this relevant for our purposes tonight? Well, I want to show you some data in the form of a graph. So this is voting data. This is the vote for Saddam Hussein in Iraq before the war. I don't know the exact percentage, but as you can see, it's very close to 100. Let me show you some more data. This is the vote for Syria's former president. Similarly high. Now I'm going to show you some American data. This is Chicago data. Vote for Mayor Daley. Similar. And now, please be prepared. I'm going to show you the historic voting results of the Latke-Hamantash Debate. So hold on. Here you go. This is the vote for the Latke. Now, just looking at this graph, what does this make you think? Well, year on year, just like the graph of that Susan showed, the Latke steadily wins handily by a very large percentage. I'm not pointing any fingers just yet, but I will. But there is something fishy here. Why might 85% of Jews be voting for the Latke year after year? I'm not aware of any laws in Judaism requiring this. Why is it, then, that when this forum is supposed to pit the Latke and the Hamantash against each other on even footing, and we have fresh blood every year to defend one and the other, that generation after generation, one of the two contending Jewish food items, or JFIs for short, always wins handily. How could we account for this? Some of you might say, well, it just so happens that people like the latkes. 85% of the public likes the latkes. Mayor Deli does a good job, people vote for him. Latkes do a good job, whatever that means, and people vote for them. So here you go. Now, if that was the case, I should roll up my toga and be out of here. But I won't do that for a number of reasons. First of all, because I have to speak for at least 10 minutes. Also because this is extremely unlikely to be the case, that people actually really prefer latkes that much. I'll show you why. So first, one of the previous debaters, I will show you a picture of the latke, and that should be enough for you to figure out why. This will clearly reveal that this is unlikely to be preferred by 85% of the people. If you look at it closely, it seems to be staring you in the eye. Now, I want to give you a second reason why latkes could not possibly be preferred. Latkes, humans are known to prefer sugars to starches. And so the latke is starchy, the hamantash is sugary, so hence the hamantash should be preferred due to the much higher sugar content. Now, when people are forced to eat a latke, you should notice what they do. They douse it with sugar, right? So that's the second reason. Now, I have a better explanation. It's not that people actually prefer the latke. A better explanation is that there's something else going on. People are actually falsifying their preferences. Now, why might people be doing such a thing? Why would they say I prefer the latke when I don't? Why would they pierce that? Maybe because the first debater advised you to do that, but hopefully not for that reason. Okay, the reason I want to give you is very simple. Latkes are always eaten when there is somebody watching. Now, who is watching? In my case, that would be my blessed grandmother, who's always watching what you eat and will remember it for years and years thereafter. And especially when you fail to eat something, force is brought to bear. First, the force of persuasion, but then the force of recrimination and other kinds of forces. So, since the latke is eaten just after it is cooked, it's generally eaten in the presence of the cooker, which could be, for example, the grandmother, who would also be enforcing the eating of the latke. That's how this argument works. Now, consider the hamantash. Since it's a baked good, it's not eaten like most baked goods right after it's cooked, because it could cause you a stomachache. So consequently, there might be no enforcer around when you actually eat it. Thus, eating habits surrounding the hamantash might actually refer people's true preferences. Now, people might be asking themselves, you might be asking yourselves, well, tonight we're sitting here, most grandmothers are not here watching us, so how does this apply? Well, there does not have to be an actual grandmother. All that is necessary is that the person believes that the grandmother could be watching. And to illustrate this, I want to invoke one of the greatest students of the Jewish psyche. In the spirit of trying to bring the Messiah, I'm going to attribute credit where credit is due to Woody Allen.